Ladies and gentlemen, hello, this is Debo over at Land Say Go, and we have another day of spoilers for Core Set 2020. This is for June 24th, 2019, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. So we have a new rare here in black. This card is going to be extremely powerful, Embodiment of Agonies. For 3 mana, we get a 0/0 demon. It doesn't sound too great, right? Just hang on. You have flying and death touch with this creature, and then when it enters the battlefield, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it for each different mana cost among non-land cards in your graveyard. So what that means is if you have something that costs like 2 and a black, or 1 black, those are just 1 black, those are all completely different mana costs. So if you just have a bunch of cards that have completely different mana costs within their mana, then this card can be humongous. I'm saying like a 10/10 flying death touch for 3 mana type of a card. Now it is fragile because if they exile away your graveyard or they get rid of your graveyard, you now have a 0/0. So we need to be careful about that, but the power level is there. This card is going to see play in Standard. It could also possibly see play in something like Modern as well. Ancestral Blade, 1 and a white. It's an artifact equipment. The equipment have actually been kind of interesting. They're actually kind of being, fun to play. So we have Ancestral Blade. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, and then you can attach Ancestral Blade to it, and then it gets the equipped creature gets +1/+1, and then it has an equip cost of 1. So it gives you like this living weapon type of a thing, where when it comes down, you get a creature, and a lot of the artifacts that are equipment in this set that have those like specific color mana costs have been creating tokens for you to be able to equip these things to for free for the first time. That's fantastic. Now the fact that this has an equip cost of 1 means that if that token were to die, it's pretty incidental that you can just then pop it onto another creature to make it that much bigger, and then maybe survive something like blocks in combat or something like that. This card's gonna be really good. I actually like it a lot. I think it could definitely see some play in Standard. Colossus Hammer, for 1 colorless. We have a giant equipment that says equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying, and it has an equip cost of 8. That's right. So I don't know if people are actually going to be playing this card. Really, if you're going to be playing it, you're probably going to be using it more so for the fact that it's 1 mana. I doubt that you're going to want to pay 8 mana to be able to equip this to something. Now, maybe if you're running like Danitha and the new Nahiri that reduces equip cost by 1, 6 mana to equip this, it's still kind of bad. I mean, there's things there that you can maybe do. I don't know. I don't think it's going to see much play in Standard other than just being kind of like an egg. But, maybe something in Modern. If we had something that could freely equip this, I think it would make more of an impact. Maybe we'll get something like that later on, but not right now. We have a Spanish spoiler here for you. Vanguardia de Caballeros Celestis. Sorry. It's a red and a white. It's a human. It has flying. It's a 1/2, and it says whenever it attacks, you create a 1/1 human or a 1/1 white soldier creature token that's tapped and attacking. So this alone is going to be pretty good in something like a mentor list where you're going to be able to actually pump this up quite a few times with your mentor creatures. If you get an Aurelia down, and then you can make this thing huge. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Plus, it gives you more mentor targets with the 1/1s. So pairing this with something like Legion Warboss is going to be pretty great, just going wide with your 1/1 tokens. I like it a lot. I think this card could actually see a lot of play. Mystic Forge, 4 colorless for an artifact. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can cast the top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card, and then you can tap and pay 1 life and exile the top card of your library. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. It's kind of like a experimental frenzy, except for artifacts and Karns and Ugins, and that's about it. So I don't know. This if we have something like an artifact storm list or something like that, maybe this can go in that. The fact that you can tap it and pay 1 life and exile the top card of your library could be pretty good in order to filter the top. Really, this may just see sideboard play in like a Tezzeret artifacts list, and that's probably about it. Brineborn Cutthroat, 1 and a blue for a 2/1 Merfolk Pirate, both creature types that needed some support here. It's got flash, and then whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. So this also includes just instants. If you have a Teferi, it also includes sorceries. It includes any creature with flash. If you're playing this with a Vivian, you can also flash out, let's say, your Merfolk on your opponent's turn and be able to put counters on it. So I think that this could actually have a place in something like a Merfolk aggro list or something like that. It just depends on how you want to build the list. Heck, even a dive down will grow this thing. So something to consider. Both of these creature types, Merfolk and Pirate, needed the support, and now we have a flashy one that fits really well in Merfolk, and it could do okay in Pirates as well. We have a German foiler here for you, Sternstiffen and Blitzbote. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. Blue and a red, it's a 2/2 elemental, I believe, wizard, and it has haste and flying. So if it is an elemental wizard, then great. Wizards are getting more support. It's in blue-red. Also, elementals are getting some support. We're seeing this teamer elemental list kind of getting put together. I'm actually excited about this card. It's a 2-mana hasty threat. So that flies in the air. It has evasion. These types of spells are usually good. So I'm excited to give it a try. Now let's get to actually some rares here. We have brought back white instant. Choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Return them to the battlefield tapped. Wow, this card is good. This card is so good. Not only could you play this just in a normal like creature deck in case of a board wipe and just leave that 2 white up, you can also play this in something like sagas, where if a saga or 2 were to go to the graveyard, you can then bring it back for just 2 white and then have your sagas all over again. That seems really good. We kind of have this cool saga deck building with the Starfield Mystic, etc. You could also play this with your Planeswalkers if you know you're going to be ultimating your Planeswalkers a lot. Gives you a good way to get it back. Or heck, even if your opponents just kill it, you can be like, all right, well, I'll just get it back for 2 white. I mean, this is going to be a really good card. I don't know if it's going to be a full 4 of. I would totally run 4 in my decks personally, but that's just me. Tail's End, 1 and a blue for an instant. We have another Stifle, counter target activated ability, triggered ability, but this Stifle can also counter stuff or legendary spell. That's right. So it does the Stifle thing plus a counter spell for legendary spells, which is quite a lot. We have legendary artifacts, enchantments, sorceries, legendary creatures, obviously, and planeswalkers again are now legendary. So this allows us to actually counter quite a bit. This is going to see some pretty decent sideboard play, especially since it can, if you happen to miss the counter spell on your opponent's planeswalker, because there's a lot of 3-mana planeswalkers at the moment. This does give you a way to stifle and counter their ultimates, which can, if people get too greedy, their planeswalkers can then just go to the graveyard, which could be really good. God's Willing, 1 white, it's an instant. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Scry 1. This card did a lot when it was first in standard, and I don't see why that wouldn't be the case this time around. It allows you to have your little 1/1s become chump blockers for larger threats. If you can cast this on a Death Toucher and he'll survive, and you can kill your opponent's best threat when they swing in. So there's some really good interaction type things like that you can do. The Scry 1 is great. This is definitely going to see play in a Feather deck. So what's really great about God's Willing over something like Sheltering Light is God's Willing prevents things from being targeted, period. So you can cast this in response to an exile effect on your on your feather, and then it allows you to grant feather or your other creatures that protection, plus you then get this back. I think you could actually see like a 4-2 split where you play maybe 4 of these and 2 Sheltering Lights in that list. They both scry, they're both really good, and I think they would fit really well with feather. Thunderkin Awakener, 1 in a red for a 1/2 hasty elemental shaman. Whenever Thunderkin Awakener attacks, choose target elemental creature card in your graveyard with toughness less than Thunderkin Awakener's toughness. Return that card to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. What's really good about this card is the fact that it actually says sacrifice and not exile at the end step there, and this actually could see a new deck being built in Modern. There's a lot of elementals that are in Modern that are 3 red, like Ball Lightning. It's a 3 red for a 6/1, and then you have to sacrifice it anyways. So you can then get down your Thunderkin Awakener, swing in, get back your 6/1s and your 5/1s and your other 6/1s, and just deal a whole bunch of damage. That could be really good. In Standard, we don't have a whole lot of targets for it natively. I mean, you could get something back like, I don't know, Multani seems really good. If you actually read the rules text on Multani, his ability that gives him +1/+1 only affects him once he's on the battlefield. In every other zone, he's a 0/0. So being able to get this guy Multani back from your graveyard every single turn means that you can be swinging in with a hasty 20/20 if you have enough lands in your graveyard on the battlefield. You could also get back like the Lightning Mare, the red horse. That's also an elemental. It can't be blocked by blue creatures, and it seems like we're going to get a lot of really good blue creatures in this set. So that will give a good way for you to get some evasion out of him. Plus, you can then use your mana to pump him as well to get in even more damage. And then if you just wanted to cast him, cast that creature normally, it's just 2 red. So there's a lot of really good play you can do with that. There are a few other cheeky things you can do. There's another elemental that was spoiled in the set that allows you to draw a card whenever it enters the battlefield, and it's a 2/1 flyer. So this will again give you one of those things where you can swing in, get that back every single turn, plus hitting 2 in the air, drawing a card. So that could be really good. Apostle of Purifying Light, 1 in a white for a 2/1. It's a human cleric, protection from black, and it has 2 exile target card from a graveyard. This card is kind of what white needed. We had some effects that were like this, like Remorseful Cleric was a spirit that would allow you to exile stuff from the graveyard. The fact that this has protection from black is really good. There's a lot of black removal at the moment, and while it does die to sweepers, it still does really good against your opponent's Vraska's Contempts, Cast Downs, Tyrant Scorn, etc., etc. Plus the ability to pay 2 and exile a card from the graveyard. This means that things like the Dreadhorde decks and other reanimation style lists now have another threat that they have to worry about. Even if you're playing this in something like, is it Drakes or is it Phoenix? This allows you to then exile away your opponent's Phoenixes once it goes to the graveyard. I like it. I think you'll actually see some good play. And then finally, we have another card here that I think Jeremy would really love to play. He seems to like these types of cards. Drakuseth, Maw of Flames, 4 red for a 7/7, so 7 mana for 7 power and 7 toughness. It is a legendary creature dragon with flying, and it says whenever it attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target, and then 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. What? Okay, so when it attacks, not only do you get a 7/7, but you also get to do 10 free damage? Cool. I mean, that seems pretty good, right? Am I missing something here? No, look, sure, it's 7 mana, but we do have ways to ramp into it. There's actually quite a bit. But it's also a really good reanimation target. Just reanimate it. We have this new bond. We have a bond from this previous set that reanimates something at 5 mana, plus it gives it haste. You can get that down as early as turn 3 if you're in the right list. I don't know. I think there could be something there where you're actually running this in your main deck and you're able to reanimate it out. And heck, even if you build just a ramp strategy and you're ramping up into big dragons, I mean, this is a big dragon that not only deals 7 damage, but also 4 damage, and then 3 damage and then 3 damage. I mean, that's just really good. It annihilates your opponent's planeswalkers. It annihilates your opponent's board. It's a good creature. It's going to be a great commander. It's going to be pretty awesome in standard if somebody can actually build around it. Well, guys, that's all we got for today's spoilers. Again, feel free to check back again tomorrow. We'll have even more. This is Devo over at landseco.com. Please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.